Take a look at this illustration of a secondary school student in Kampala. Notice the distinct pathways pulling at his attention: family expectations, peer approval, and personal passions. Growing up is chaotic, pulling you in a dozen different directions at once. But in an exam setting, simply experiencing that chaos is not enough. You have to translate those competing pressures into a structured, highly graded, reflective essay. To write effectively about who you are, you first have to isolate the specific forces competing for your attention. Usually, these fall into three distinct categories: what you want for yourself, what your friend group expects of you, and the cultural traditions you have inherited. This flowchart shows the precise foundation you will use to build your essay. You do not write aimlessly. You follow a progression. You begin with a self-portrait, introduce the external influences, describe the resulting conflict, and arrive at your resolution. Taking the messy reality of your internal life and organizing it into this rigid four-step map forces you to slow down. It shifts your writing away from merely venting emotions, allowing you to build a clear, analytical argument about your personal growth. Once your essay skeleton is in place, you need to dissect the internal conflict itself. Graders reward depth, meaning you have to move past surface-level complaints and locate the exact source of your frustration. We can visualize this using the 3D diagram on screen, which we call the identity core. Think of your identity like an onion, divided into three distinct layers that help you pinpoint exactly where your internal friction originates. At the very center is your inner core, representing the authentic self. This is who you are when no one else is watching, your private passions and quiet convictions, like a deep love for the digital arts or writing. Wrapping around that is the middle layer, representing the cultural and familial influences you absorb. In a Ugandan context, this often carries traditional values and the heavy parental expectation to pursue a stable, respected field like the sciences. Finally, the outer layer is your social self. This dictates how you behave in public and the level of conformity required to fit in with your peers at school. Conflict happens when these layers scrape against each other. For example, the struggle of autonomy versus expectation occurs when the desires of your inner core clash directly with the demands of your middle layer. When you can explicitly identify which two layers are fighting for control in your own life, you make the leap from storytelling to analysis. That specific realization proves you are thinking critically about your development. Now that you know where the conflict lives, you need the right words to describe it on paper. You have to upgrade your descriptive language into precise psychological vocabulary. This comparison table shows the difference in execution. A basic essay might state, "I felt confused." A high-scoring essay transforms that exact same feeling into, "I experienced ambivalence as my desire for self-actualization met external pressure." Notice how specific terms do the heavy lifting here. Words like ambivalence and self-actualization act as direct tools. They explicitly link a vague internal feeling to the concrete external pressures we mapped on our identity core. Look at the sentence frame on screen. I want you to pause the video right now and engage in an active recall exercise. Fill in the blanks using your own Ugandan context and your own experiences. Consistently practicing this kind of vocabulary transformation is the dividing line for examiners. It elevates an O-level response from a simple diary entry to an exceptional, mature academic essay. Welcome back. To connect those analytical thoughts smoothly, you will need comparative transitional words, like conversely or however. These words signal to the grader that you are actively weighing different sides of a conflict. Here is how it all comes together in a final paragraph. Watch the text highlight as we build it. We weave the analytical terms in blue, link them with comparative words in orange, and ground the argument in specific Ugandan context examples in green. This paragraph represents the ultimate goal of your essay. You are charting an identity map, weighing the paths you choose against the paths expected of you, and ending with a clear statement of how that struggle has shaped who you are today. This split-screen graphic summarizes the entire process, showing the fully labeled 3D identity core next to your essential vocabulary bank. Take a screenshot of this layout right now to keep as a study cheat sheet. By mastering these layers and applying these precise terms, you have the tools to articulate your personal identity crisis brilliantly. For more practice tasks and academic resources, head over to the Yaka Digital Network platform.